Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Merenberg. Thank you so much to be here with me today. Happy new moon. Today we have a new moon in Libra. So I will be doing your tarot pick a card reading based on new moon energy. Just a reminder, new moons are about new energy, of course, new, right? So new moons are about calling in things you want to have happen. They're about creating space for new energy, new intentions, new ideas, new things to blossom and to come into your life. You don't always see the fruition of these things right away, but this is a time to just really be intentional about what you're allowing in your life and what you want to create or call in or have more of, just ways you can be self-reflective. So I will be reading the cards like that. If you're watching this when it is not new moon, then there is a message in here for you if you felt called to watch this reading. I've inserted a picture of the 4 groups I have for you today. You can pause the video. You can take as much time as you need. All of the timestamps are below. You can choose by the number, by the cards you can see, by the sound of my voice, group 1, group 2, group 3, or group 4, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 1. So as a reminder, today is a new moon, so I will be reading the cards from the perspective of calling in new energy into your life and new things. But you can take it how it resonates. As always, only take what resonates. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, okay? You can set some intentions, write some affirmations, just reflect on what comes up for you from the reading. I mean, you know best how to work with the energy that is speaking to you today. So like usual, I'm going to start with your tarot, then I'll go to your oracle cards. But before that, group 1, you guys picked the positivity card. I'm going to read this for you. If you can find even one thing to be grateful for, it will restore you to the light. Please, dear God, let me always feel gratitude for something, even a tiny thing, and even the hardest situations. So sometimes people get triggered by the word positivity, which I get, because sometimes people use positivity as toxic positivity, right? To kind of like bypass some of the not as fun things to think about in life. But this card really is important. It's just reminding you for the new moon, maybe you've been working through a lot of stuff, or you've been trying to choose something better, or just change things in your life. Maybe things haven't been going how you wanted, or it's been, you have some adjustment period. And so this card is really just reminding you that even if you can say thank you to God for waking up, for your health, for breathing, for you have some type of internet connection if you're watching this, if you have food, if you have these things, again, it's not negating or minimizing anything else you're going through, but just to remind you that sometimes we get so focused on what we don't have, or the adjustment period, or things not working out, or whatever. And sometimes we can forget to just practice a little gratitude, or, a little positivity in our day. Okay, so just something to think about. Okay, for your tarot today, we have the 9 of Pentacles. We have the 5 of Wands. We have Ace of Swords in reverse. We have 4 of Swords. And then we have the Ace of Wands. Okay, so for today's reading, I really just felt called to only do 5 tarot cards. I know normally I do more than that, but I just feel really like I want to focus on these like deeper messages from each of the cards instead of having so many. So I feel like with this group, the theme of your reading actually is to kind of like have less boundaries, which is really interesting because that's usually not what happens. Maybe not less, but lighten up on them, with this Ace of Swords in the center. So I feel like, you have 9 of Pentacles is a very abundant card. It's very much about, this person, they're reaping the fruit of what they've sown. Okay, you know what I mean. So they've done the work, and they have all these pentacles in their garden. They have like this abundance, just really walking around and really feeling this energy of just like, okay, I have put in the work. I've done a lot to get to where I need to go. I've shown up for myself. I've been consistent. I've done a lot of these things, and it paid off for you. And maybe there's other goals you're trying to reach right now. So maybe this might not be resonating for you, or you're really focused on that. But just if you can take a moment and just think about all you have accomplished, all the things you have done, all the things that have worked out for you, all the ways you've shown up for yourself, or, changed situations in your life. It's really about that. And then with this, but it's interesting with this card right next to it, the 5 of Wands. I feel like this is really saying that maybe you had to work really hard, or there was a lot of turmoil or fighting or struggle to get that. So I feel like this is really saying, a lot of times, especially, when we're younger, or even not when we're younger, like could be just even the lesson is new for us is what I meant. Like maybe not age wise, but maybe it's a new lesson or a new thing we're working through. Sometimes we have to like fight, or it's a struggle, or we like really can't get our footing, or it just feels like, man, I'm never going to get out of this, or it's so intense and so hard. And I just don't know how to like, I just can't get through it. So if a lot of your abundance had to come from struggle or fighting or pushing back or just kind of like rewriting a lot of stuff, this is just affirmation that you did it. You can be proud of yourself. You can honor that. But with this Ace of Swords in the middle in reverse, what I feel like is with this new moon, really calling in more softer energy for yourself, So just because you had to learn things through survival mode, or you had to learn things in, unfortunately, like an intense, unhealthy, messed up way before, this isn't a pattern you have to carry for the rest of your life. So sometimes, again, like we do the best we can, and sometimes we learn through, if we're especially born into circumstances that aren't totally ideal, we learn through dysfunction or through chaos or just through like toxic situations, things like that. But this is really saying that with this new moon, how can you kind of not loosen the boundaries, but make them more soft? How can you be more relaxed? How can you choose to motivate yourself through patience or through peace or through a little bit of more lighthearted energy, instead of this really intense, like I got what I got because I had to fight for it and I had to be in survival mode and I had to do that. And again, you did the best you could. There's no judgment there, right? We all have our circumstances that play into these certain things. But with this card, it really is about just how can you loosen up on, like being so intense and hard and whatever, and not on certain people or situations that you don't want to go back to, right? You still want to have your boundaries, but this isn't really about loosening the boundaries. It's about not making them as this is so look at this card, it's so chaotic. Not as chaotic is basically what I'm hearing. Like, how can you have your boundaries but have them be softer, have them be clear, not be as emotionally intense, not be as like emotionally out of control feeling, right? So that's what this card is really about. Like, how can you have those boundaries but like softening them? Because then we go into the Four of Swords. So this is, again, putting the swords down. Like, I mean, you're not dying, but maybe it could feel like a death, right? An emotional death here. Putting the swords down, turning inward, hanging them up, saying, okay, I don't need to leave these forever. I can still have my boundaries, but which ones are actually working for me and which ones do I need to take a break from? You can pray about it. You can meditate about it. You can journal about it. You can ask for help with this new moon. Maybe today's new moon, you can really think about asking, okay, how can I have these boundaries, but not in as an intense or harmful way to myself? How can I have these boundaries not in survival mode, but in thriving mode? How can I have these boundaries in a way that really honors myself without making me feel like I'm just like, have no limits, or I feel totally unsafe before? So just taking some time to really think about that. And then really resting, taking inventory for your stock, or taking inventory of your boundaries, taking stock of your boundaries. I was trying to say both. So taking stock of that and really just, again, turning inward and being like, okay, I had to do this particular thing in order to survive. But now that I've created, right, some more peace or whatever in my life for myself, do I really need to carry that forward? Does it really need to be as intense or as heavy or as, whatever, the ways you've had to do it before in your life? And then, because closing your reading, really beautiful Ace of Wands. Again, like two wands here. So you have two swords of like reinventing things. And then this is really about Five of Wands. Just what type of wands energy do you want to have? What do you want to create that's new? How do you want to, go from all this chaos, all this like crazy stuff to just being like, okay, this is what I want to create. And I can continue to add to my pentacles. I continue to add to my abundance here. But it can be in a new way. I can like get things in a new way. I can achieve my goals in a more loving, peaceful, still patient, positive, right? If we're looking at this card, positive way. It doesn't have to be chaos anymore. It doesn't have to be pushing against and fighting in this like back and forth and craziness. This can be like doing it in a new way, and just like new energy of moving forward. So with this new moon, group one, I'm really feeling this energy of like softening and really we do have a new moon in Libra. Libra is about balance. It's about scales of justice. It's about finding all that out. So knowing like you can call in more balance and peace and ease into your life with this new moon. And so this is really saying you aren't going to lose any of your abundance with that, but just really saying, how can I show up in a new way that is loving and kind and compassionate, but still firm for myself? Your oracle cards. Okay, so this is just what I was talking about. Begin again. So exact same energy I was just saying here of just like, again, you can choose a new way of being. You can, no matter what you've done, like no matter what you've done and showed up for yourself or built in your life, none of that is going to go away if you decide to begin again with this Ace of Wands and kind of like create some new energy and have this new way of existing in your life going on for yourself. So again, none of that's going to go away if you do all this, but you do have the opportunity to begin again with that card. Okay. So, okay, sharing shame we have on the side. And then the other side says, when I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be. So I think this is really saying, you really need to, in order for you to change this chaotic way of being into like this more peaceful way of, creating the life you want or the way you want to exist or be in the world, maybe you need to reflect on some of these painful experiences you had. Sometimes we can just feel embarrassed because we were in a messed up situation, even if we weren't responsible for it, even if we were doing our best, whatever, all of that. So maybe, this is something you need to journal about, pray about, meditate about, talk to a therapist about, talk with a friend about. I mean, what shows up for you, but if you're having trouble kind of being like, how can I show up softer? Maybe taking inventory of, these are my painful and possibly shameful experiences. And this is how I'm going to move through them and remove them so that I can allow myself the opportunity to create a new story for myself, a new way of being. Then this one is interesting. We have the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. So a lot of times, we see the growth in our own individual lifetime, and then based on your own spiritual beliefs, whatever schools of thought you believe, there can be buildup from other lifetimes of like, well, we got like a little bit better last lifetime, but now we're gonna, really master it in this lifetime, or I'm gonna think about it in a new way, or I'm gonna whatever. So I think this is really just saying, if you feel like you've been doing this for a long time, or it feels really, really hard, maybe your ego's like, this should be so simple, but it feels really hard. Just remembering that, our soul does want to experience everything. It does want to have all these different opportunities to do things. So again, just remember that like, you have been training for this for lifetimes, and these are things that you're not going to get right away. You're not going to get immediately. So having some patience with yourself with that. And then again, we have the card Wait. So this is, again, just really echoing that Age of Light thing, not like wait in terms of, you don't have to move towards what you want, but maybe this is about don't rush it, right? Maybe you think, okay, I'm with this new moon, I'm going to write everything and get everything right away and do all this stuff and whatever. But this is actually just saying, let your process be the process it needs to be. It doesn't have to be 0 to 100 right away. It doesn't have to be all this, everything, doesn't have to be perfectly perfect how it is right away from the jump. So give yourself time, give yourself space. If you don't feel like you're ready to call in the new boundaries yet, just take it one step at a time. And maybe what you can work on with this new moon is just taking inventory, or just even writing the prayer of like, how can I show up softer? How can I show up not in survival mode to my life anymore? And then last card we have, I praise the goddess and the god. So I'm getting 2 messages from this one. The first is that, so this is kind of like a little yin and yang energy, like we need balance, right? So this is really saying, I praise the goddess and the god. What I was talking about in the beginning with this positivity card, we don't want to get to the point that you are like practicing toxic positivity. You really need to honor maybe some of that shame or some of those painful exercise or experiences that happened in your life, and really calling those into balance. And then this is also saying, I praise the goddess and the god. So, use all your healing tools, use everything, use all that you have access to, your healthy toolkit. All of these things are going to add up and are going to create an opportunity for you to heal and get to that next level. So I think, we want to honor like the more challenging aspects and the more like positive aspects, but also knowing that we do need to honor all of our toolkit, right? So the divine masculine and feminine, a lot of this energy of making, there's so many things that can help us and assist us, but sometimes we can just focus on, okay, I can only use this one thing. But this is really saying use all the resources that are available to you. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do for group 1 is just pick one last oracle card affirmation for you for this new moon. Today, I consciously choose to think loving thoughts, take compassionate action, and bring forth peaceful energy. Very beautiful. So maybe that can be your affirmation for this new moon, or whenever you're watching this, just remember you have control over your thoughts and the way you act, even if it's just between yourself. Okay, that's everything I have for you today. I hope this served you. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that's linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Happy new moon, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who did group number 2. So just a reminder, new moons are about new energy. So I am going to be reading the cards from that way. But of course, if you watch this video when it is not the new moon, there's a message in here for you. And so group 2, you guys picked trust. Group 2 had the card trust on it. Okay. When love is invited to take over, right actions arise at the right time. Allow me, dear divine, to wait patiently until the timing is right. Let me rest in the unknown until a clear path is shown. Okay, very beautiful. So I think sometimes this is really, part of you wanted to connect with this message if you chose this, and this is really just saying how just trust. Just like sometimes we can feel what we want to do, and this is like a very advanced level of self-mastery, is we can feel the things we want to do, but it might not be time to do it, or we don't know the exact way to do it, or the next step hasn't been revealed to us yet. And so sometimes if we're used to especially using like our masculine energy of going, making things happen, getting things done, it can be really frustrating because we are used to just being able to decide, okay, I want to do this, and then do it. And so just having trust that you are being guided in all in the right time, and that you are, timing there's so much divine timing that helps us and assists us, even if we don't understand it from like our own limited perspective. And so this is really saying with this new moon, you can ask for patience, you can ask for a clear sign of just like, please show me this thing when it's time for me to move forward, or please show me the exact right time for me to move forward about this. So this really is just saying again, just having faith and just knowing that, the universe isn't punishing you. And part of trust is, it's one of the sweet parts of Earth School. We don't learn how to trust God or spirit or source or higher power until we start trusting it. So it's one of those things that we just have to, you got to fake it till you make it. And then as you're getting through it. Okay, so I'm going to start with your tarot, and then we will get to oracle cards afterwards. So we have Strength opening. We have Knight of Swords in reverse. We have 10 of Cups. Wow. Then we have 7 of Wands. And then we have 10 of Pentacles. Okay, I mean, really, really abundant energy here for group number 2. So I think opening with this Strength card right into the Knight of Swords in reverse, I think part of trust and part of what we have with this Oracle card is knowing that sometimes strength comes from slowing down, right? Knight of Swords upright is really about forward motion, moving quickly, jumping into action, making things happen. But I think this is really saying, with strength, a lot of our strength, sometimes an underrated way we can have strength is by slowing down, by doing less, by stop trying to play God, by stop trying to control everything, by stop trying to, make things happen. And so I think a lot of strength you can derive for yourself on this new moon is just turning inward and going slower and not taking as much action. And I think if you need strength, of what to do or patience or any of that stuff, this is really saying strength can come from resting. Strength can come from slowing down. New moon in Libra is about balance. So I think even just if you need to call more balance into your life, you can find, even with this trust card, like being shown the path, you can find balance and the way to be shown by slowing down and by doing less and just really turning inward and just really saying to yourself, what can I do? And please show me the way. And sometimes, we just have to be patient and know that it's not time to know what to do until it's time to know what to do, right? So really turning inward and being patient with that. Because I think, going right in the center of your reading, and right after those, we do have the 10 of Cups, which is really beautiful. It's emotional fulfillment. It's about, abundance, a lot of wishes fulfilled on every level, but especially emotionally. Sorry about that. I had issues with my camera. But anyway, as I was saying, so the 10 of Cups is about emotional fulfillment. And so I feel like when you do really take the time to rest and slow down and like tap on your inner strength, reconnect to yourself, reestablish that connection within yourself, what's going to result is a lot of this emotional fulfillment. So maybe like the way you see yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you can really acknowledge and recognize a lot of the positive attributes you have, instead of just focusing on, when we need some inner strength, the best way to find it is to go inward and to really like tap into that abundance within ourselves in that way. So really holding that emotional fulfillment for ourselves and not shying away from it, or not feeling like, oh, I don't deserve to have access to that, or I can't like connect to myself, right? Sometimes we really do need to go back to the basics of slowing down, turning inward, getting clear with ourselves, being patient with ourselves, all of that. And then what I am seeing is, maybe your ego's going off by me saying to relax, to turn inward, to slow down, to check in with yourself, any of all of that. Maybe it can feel like unstable. This card is about conflict, but it really is more about the way the mind can create a conflict or create instability, than like maybe external factors. And not negating external factors, of course, but sometimes we are the ones making more things real than are actually real. Like we're projecting a lot onto the situation. And this card really reflects that, because you can see person has two different shoes on, they're like about to fall off a cliff, a bunch of these wands are like coming at them, they feel like they have to defend themselves, but there's no other people, they could just be standing there for all we know, right? So this is really about really interrogating and thinking about what are some of the stories you've been telling yourself that have led to emotional unfulfillment, or disconnect inside, and can you rewrite those with this new moon? Can you like take time to turn inward, to connect to yourself, to maybe the ego loves evidence, so maybe giving yourself, like, okay, I'm a good person because I treat people kindly, or I know I care about my friends, or I'm compassionate towards animals, or whatever resonates for you. But really interrogating that belief and really just being like, how much of that is real and how much of that is just like misinformation that I've learned and internalized and programmed with for most of my life. So really interrogating that and really just thinking like, okay, can I turn inward? Can I slow down? Can I rebuild this emotional fulfillment within myself from all of that, instead of really feeling wobbly or not clear or unstable within myself? Because what this beautiful progression from the 10 of Cups right to the 10 of Pentacles, 2 10s. So you're a 10, the situation is a 10, amazing. Okay, this is going from, to me, this really speaks about emotional fulfillment and fulfillment inside, then turning into like external abundance. When you feel abundant and tap into that energy inside, it's going to be easier for you to project that outward, and then also connect to those things outside of you that affirm that, right? We don't see things as we are, we see them as we are. And so if you do have this emotional fulfillment that you are a good person, that you do deserve good things, you do deserve to connect to some of these things, this is really affirming that. And Pentacles is about abundance, especially physical reality abundance, with that within yourself. And so with this new moon, again, maybe you can think about, if I did feel abundant, what would I have? What would I be drawn to? What would feel good to me? And part of that is, allowing these things and knowing like, okay, someone who, let me think of an example. Someone who doesn't feel good about their body will never feel comfortable like going in a place where maybe people could see their body, and not like naked or anything, but sometimes we have shame about how we look. We don't want to be seen. And so it'll be harder to put ourselves out there. So if you're having trouble like figuring out how you can focus on some emotional fulfillment from this, just take this and work backwards. So just think, okay, well, what are some physical reality things I want? Okay, I want a new job, or I want a new place to live, or I want to feel happy with my body, or I want to feel more peace in this relationship. So focus on that, and then say, okay, well, what would the story I tell myself be that would be a match for those types of things, and really connecting to that energy. And again, if this feels weird or awkward, or you don't know, like, okay, this isn't me, am I lying, right? Like the beliefs you have right now are just your beliefs because you've told them to yourself 8 million times. So you just have to rewrite it in that way. And again, trust, lots of trust in here, trusting the process, all of that. Okay. I'm gonna get your oracle cards now. Okay, I think, which one do I want to start with? I think soul knowing is good. I think this is just kind of what I was talking about, of just, you know, in the beginning of turning inward and resting, that really does allow you to connect to your soul, to connect to the truth that's in there. And a lot of times we think something's wrong with us or we're flawed or whatever, but it actually just comes from a place that we're like disconnected from our soul, and our soul always knows what it's doing. We're always being guided, all of that. It's just sometimes we can't access it because of our limitations as like our humanness. So trusting that and allowing that to come forward and speak to you. Okay, and then we have, I am open to love in various forms. So this is really saying that, you know, sometimes we think I can only get my goal in this particular way, but as you're working on self-love, or as you're working on, again, this tuning inward and fulfilling emotional fulfillment, remember that you can work on that within yourself, but also allow people who already love you to love you in this process. Makes it easier, okay? Like sometimes we can have people who love us hold the goalpost for us as we work through that and move towards that within ourselves. So just remember that, you know, accept love in various forms. It also could be like if a stranger does something nice for you, or you have a positive interaction with someone who might not be like a significant person in your life. Just remember, like, that is also like some kindness and some emotional fulfillment you can like acknowledge and appreciate, even if, you know, that person isn't in your life long term. And then we have creating cooperation. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. So again, this is more just what I'm talking about, of just like part of trust is knowing that like you do your stuff and your higher power does your higher power stuff, right? This person saying this kind thing to you is part of it, but it's not the whole thing. So just knowing you don't have to, what I'm really hearing is when you turn inward for this group to like to work on this emotional fulfillment, you don't have to do it all by yourself, and you're not supposed to. So this is really saying that letting people who have a role to play have their role to play, and again acknowledging like you can have harmony by not trying to do everything for everyone else, and also negating if you're trying to do everything. Negating, delegating. That's what I meant, delegating if you're trying to do everything on your own. And then just going along with that, we have the card boundaries. So where do you need to establish better boundaries? So this could be in relation to other people, but based on what I saw in the tarot, I feel like this is about the way you speak to yourself, the stories you tell yourself, all of that combined is more about like the boundaries energy we're looking at for this group. And then last one, just a really beautiful card to end on, no need to worry. So again, part of like this trust, and part of when you're rewriting something, or, you know, rebirthing yourself, or getting to that next level or layer with yourself, when you have a lot of things changing, sometimes it can be like, I have to control everything, or I feel out of control, or, you know, maybe these things that I relied on for stability aren't here anymore. This is really, again, part of trust is not worrying. And like, again, not negating, it's okay if you worry, right? But just remind yourself, there's no need to worry. I'm being divinely guided and protected. This is all part of the path for me. There's no right or wrong way for me to do this. Just kind of reminding yourself, I don't need to worry. I'm being taken care of. You know, you can rely on your higher power. You can rely on your higher self. You can rely on your angels, your spirit guides, your friends, anything that feels comforting to you. Okay, and then last thing I want to do with this new moon is just pick one of these oracle cards for each of the groups. So group 2, let's see what affirmation we have for you to end with. My power lies in my peaceful presence. Amazing. So just want to reiterate again, this could be about, you know, building peace, connecting to peace within yourself and what that feels like. And just knowing that we can offer our best selves when we are being present and just trying to connect to stillness and to peace. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this served you. Happy new moon. If you ever want any information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. And sorry for all the jump cuts. I was having issues with my camera today for group 2, but you know, it is what it is. So thank you so much again. I hope you have a wonderful new moon. and have a great day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So just a reminder, this is a new moon. So this is about setting new intentions, calling a new energy in your life, allowing new things to come through for you. So I will be reading the cards in that way. But if you are watching this reading when it was not a new moon, then there is a message in here for you. And so, yeah, we'll get started. So group 3, you guys picked the card that had self-acceptance. Nothing is more exhausting than endlessly working on yourself. When you offer your whole being fully to love, self-acceptance arises spontaneously. May I rest in our oneness, dear divine. So part of you, at least part of you, some part of you is connected to this message. So I think if you've been, there's sometimes we can get caught in this trap of like, I need to fix myself. I need to change myself. I need to do this. But a lot of times it's, do you need to change yourself, or do you just need to accept yourself? Do you need to fix yourself, or do you just need to accept yourself? So maybe with this new moon, you can reevaluate and just be asked to be shown the ways that you can lighten up on yourself. You can offer yourself some more kindness and understanding and acceptance, instead of just being like, well, it would be easier to love myself if I was just like this, or it'd be easier for me to see this part of myself or have faith in God if things were like this, if I was like this, or if this situation was happening. So this is really saying, what ways can you turn in to that self-acceptance, and just even start with with the affirmation of, I am willing to accept myself. And if you know the parts of you that you aren't accepting, starting there, I'm willing to accept the fact that I, whatever, like God, please help me accept the fact that I, whatever, spirit, source, higher power, universe, whatever you believe in, to say, I'm willing, like, please help me accept this particular thing. Okay, that can be some of the new energies on with this new moon. Okay, so I'm going to start with your tarot like usual, and then we will end with your oracle cards. So opening your reading, Hierophant. Love him. Moon in reverse. 4 of Wands. The Chariot. And Knight of Cups. I know I usually pull more than 5 cards, but I felt like for this new moon, really just focusing on energy from just 5 cards is a little more deeper and just getting like a more clear-cut message. And group 3, you have 3 major arcana cards in your 5 spread. So you have the Hierophant, Moon in reverse, and Chariot. So I think big energy is coming through for you if you've been feeling intense with this new moon, or just recently in your life. This is, things that are going on with you. And so the center of your reading, the theme of your reading, we do have the 4 of Wands. So this is about fulfillment. It's about like 1111. It's the 1111 card. You can see it kind of looks like 21111. So it's about like the gateway. It's about moving into that next layer of yourself, the higher part of yourself, these next things that you want to do or move into with all of that. So again, I'll read this in order, but this is really jumping out at me and just saying that, it is important for you to move through the gateway, but the next layer of your life is going to require the next version of yourself. So the next you that you want to be, you have to be different than how you have been showing up if you want to get to that next place, that next area you're going. Okay, so starting your reading, we have the Hierophant and the Moon in reverse. So I feel like there's been this feels like tension to me. I feel like there's been some tension of you not being able to merge maybe some more traditional things you believe in with your intuition. So the moon upright is like trusting our instincts. A lot of this just energy that we can't escape from, that we do have our amygdala, we do have our animal brain guiding some of us. We do have also our intuition guiding us. And so that's upright, like paying attention to maybe some of those more instinctual subconscious. So in the reverse, I'm feeling some tension from this. And then also with this theme of self-acceptance, of just, this new moon asking for self-acceptance and maybe asking to merge, help you see yourself the ways that, okay, well, I'm like a good person, or I fit into society or my family or my religion or my community or whatever in these ways. So that's fine. No self-judgment there, or, I don't not accept myself there, but I'm trying to act like I'm not a certain way. And that's what this tension feels like to me. It just feels like you're trying to pick and choose the parts of you that get to be accepted by yourself, and the parts of you that get to move forward or be part of who you think you are and who you want to be and all of that stuff put together. So I think with this new moon, you can just, again, ask for self-acceptance, ask to be shown, sometimes we don't see a specific example, right? So maybe you're into, I don't know, two things that maybe don't seem like they go together, but just remember, you are given all of your gifts on purpose. And so your exact combination of everything is actually it's a perfect mix of who you are here to connect with and the gifts you're here to offer the world. So again, if you're feeling like, oh, well, I never seen anybody be this way and this way, this is really saying, well, yeah, because that's space for you to be that way within yourself. So if you're having judgments or doubting or like, I can't make it work with these two things together, this new moon, I think, is about you accepting those two parts of you so that you can go through this gateway to get to the next layer of your life. So maybe if you've been feeling like I've been working on something forever, I've been trying to make this thing happen, or I've been trying to make, get this new job or move to this new place or have this relationship or, whatever, however it resonates for you, feel like you've been trying to get to this next gateway, this next layer of your life, this next thing for you. This can really be about being able to do that only once you have worked on accepting these like seemingly contradictory parts of yourself, right? So as long as you're not being harmful or hurting anyone, there's nothing wrong with the different ways that you show up and exist as you. And so this card is really saying that the gateway, the other side, will be worth it, but you have to work on accepting yourself to be able to get there and to be able to make that happen. Because right on the other side of this gateway, we have the Chariot and the Knight of Cups. So both of these cards are about forward motion. Both of these cards are about moving forward. The Chariot is about forward motion, and the Knight of Cups is, clearly moving forward, right? With all of that. So, and this isn't to say that it's going to be immediate, right? Part of life is there is no arrival. We do keep learning and growing and changing no matter what's going on within us. So this is really saying there will be forward motion and you will be able to have the things you want and create the life you want and do the things you want to do, but it might just be a little bit slower than, our ego wants. And acceptance isn't just like a one-time thing, like, oh, did it, I accepted it, no problem, the end, I never have to work on this again, right? That would be not Earth School if things were like that. But so this could be like, slow and steady in terms of moving forward and what can happen for you, and also slow and steady through the actual acceptance process. So just staying in touch with yourself. Cups is about, the Suit of Cups is about like emotion. So maybe being patient with yourself, asking yourself again asking your higher power for some guidance around how you can be accepting, how you can move forward with all of that with this new moon, and how you can just kind of, move through one day at a time, one thing at a time, one little bit of accepting yourself until it just becomes more of a habit. And then the Chariot, again, also about forward motion. I think this Knight of Cups is about moving forward in terms of accepting yourself emotionally and like deepening that relationship with yourself. And then the Chariot is more about moving forward and finding this balance in, this gateway, the other side, so you can get to that next layer of your life. And so you can get to like these next things that are for you as you continue to grow and change and move forward. Okay, I'm going to look at your Oracle cards. Okay, I can't, you can't make this up. Look at this card. I'm accepting. Okay. Whoa, look at that. And if you're new to my channel or you haven't watched a reading where I said this before, I pick my cards in advance, but I don't look at them or cherry pick them. So group 3, some big acceptance going on here for you. Okay. So again, you can start with this affirmation. Like I said in the beginning, I'm accepting, or God, please help me accept myself. Please help me accept this particular thing about myself, right? All of that coming through very, very strongly with that. It's just amazing. So funny. Because going right into this card, love is the only reality. So I think this is just, again, you're just what God made. You are just you. You are just this being who is here, who is was created as a magnificent child of the universe, of God, spirit, source, again, whatever language is comfortable for you. And so knowing that if you were created perfectly and divinely, and, as someone who is here to offer gifts, to find emotional fulfillment, to find peace, find happiness, if you really believe that, then that can help kind of like ease up on some of the judgment and instead allow like some acceptance of yourself, and just remember like looking yourself with eyes of compassion. And, you know, one affirmation you can focus on with this too is like, please God, help me to see me as you see me. Please Spirit, help me to see me as you see me, right? So just trying to call in some of that compassionate, loving energy for yourself that we know our higher power has for us. And then part of what's going to come up, so these two cards together, actually all three of these cards are together, but what else is there? Okay, the crumbling. So what are you clinging on to? So there's some story, you know, part of when we can't accept ourselves, there's a story going on here that makes us feel like we can't accept ourselves, that you know, we're not worthy, we're not deserving, we're not whatever. So I think this is really thinking about what story that you picked up from somewhere, you got programmed, someone told you about yourself, is going on that's making it hard for you to accept yourself. This is very similar to the Tower in the tarot. And then going right along with that, we have unhooking the past. So there's nothing to regret when I learn from my past. Right? So if you keep punishing yourself or kept being like, oh, I should know better, I should have done better, I should have whatever, just everyone acts from their level of awareness at the time that they can, including ourselves. And so if you didn't know, now you know, and now you can choose to be better. And so there's no point, you can't beat yourself up enough to change the past or to behave differently, or in the past, you can behave differently now, right? But to make the past be different than what it was. So like, what story are you clinging to punish yourself? And again, just really, if you want, you can imagine, like imagine a hook, like an energetic hook releasing you from the past, or a person or a situation, and just like kind of leaving you and washing yourself clean, to like kind of help let go of that. And again, you can ask your higher power for support in doing that. And then because look, we have reconsider. Last oracle card, really beautiful. This is again just reminding yourself that you can tell a new story, you can reconsider the circumstance. Like there's so many things that if we just if imagine if it was someone you loved and care about and they were beating themselves up about a situation, or about a way you're telling yourself or the story you're saying, and then it's easy for you to reframe it for them. Just ask, see if you can do that within yourself for yourself. See if you can offer some of this reconsider energy to just give yourself some love and care and guidance and peace, and, you know, reconsider telling yourself a new story. And this is, looks like an angelic being, right? So they got some light in the sword and stuff. A sword can also represent boundaries. So maybe just boundaries around the way you're speaking to yourself, the way you are saying certain things to yourself. Again, saying like, I'm going to choose to accept myself. So I will no longer call myself this name in my head, or I will no longer judge myself for the way I acted because I was doing the best I could at the time, and I forgive myself and I'm going to atone and then now move forward in a more like loving, abundant way. But just again, reconsider and ask for help reconsidering if you can't connect to a new story, if it feels like too stuck together or too like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. Okay, and then the last thing I've been wanting to do with each group is I just want to end with one affirmation from this deck for the new moon. So let's see what we got for you, group 3. This one fell out. 2 of them fell out actually, so we will say this one. Okay, I communicate with ease and grace. People are willing to embrace what I have to say. So again, this is really, I mean, it's a beautiful affirmation by itself, but going along with what we were just talking about, this whole theme of this reading, people are willing to embrace what I have to say. You are perfectly created with all of these things that your ego is telling you don't go together. And then that is what will have people embrace you. That's what will have people respond to you, connect with you, believe you, all of that. Another card that came out, owning my power inspires others to do the same. I am not afraid to shine. Just again, another nice little affirmation for yourself to write down, think about with this. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Happy new moon. Take care of yourselves. And I hope to see you next time and have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 4. So as a reminder, today is a new moon. So new moons are about calling in new energy, setting new intentions, pulling new things into your life. So I will be reading the cards that way. But if you're watching this when it is not the new moon, then there is a message in here for you. So take what resonates as always. And with that, you guys picked group 4 and also the impatience card. So my life is unfolding in divine timing. All delays are beneficial. I'm always at the right place at the right time. Really good message always, especially today if you pick this group. So a lot of times, once we decide we want something, or we decide it's time for us to have something, or whatever with that, we say, okay, I want this. Where is it? What's going on? Or we think I've waited long enough. Where is it? Or why can't this be here yesterday? Especially because we live in a world that does have so much instant gratification available to us in different ways. But with things that we are not in control of, that's not the way it always works. So this is really just reminding us, all delays are beneficial. I love that affirmation. You can write that for the new moon. You can ask for new moon energy to help you accept that as the truth. You can ask for some clarity around the situation. Maybe you could even reflect, say you've been waiting for 3 months or 6 months or 10 years or a week, right? However long you've been waiting for something, you can ask yourself, you can do some reflective work and say, okay, well, what has happened in that time that I've been waiting for this thing, and how has that been beneficial, right? So maybe just reframing it a little bit, and then asking, for patience with this new moon, is always possible. Okay, so like usual, I'm going to start with your tarot, and then we will end with some oracle cards. So we have King of Cups to open your reading, and then we have 10 of Wands, and then we have the High Priestess, and then we have the Queen of Wands, and then we have the Hanged Man in reverse. Okay, so normally, if you've watched my reviews before, I pick more than 5 cards, but I felt like with this new moon, I just wanted it to be very clear. I feel like we're at a time where we're closing out the end of the year. You're watching this when I posted it, and so I feel like there's a lot of energy around. I just want to get very clear and have very clear, direct messages for today's reading. So, sorry, my hair is driving me wild. So that's the one. So I just picked 5, and we'll start with that. Okay, so opening reading with the King of Cups. So this is emotional fulfillment. This is emotional intelligence. This is someone who has a very strong connection to themselves, to their emotional awareness, and is able to use that to kind of help them be the best self they can be. You can make decisions from a place of the heart and the head. You can balance that. You need both. You can't have one without the other. So I feel like with this new moon, really like what I was talking about with impatience, and making a list of, these are the ways that things have been working out for me, even if I can't see it right now. You can make a list of what are some ways that I am emotionally intelligent, what are some ways that I have made decisions from my intuition or from a place of trusting how I feel and things like that. You can definitely do that with this energy, with the King of Cups. And then putting it right next to this 10 of Wands, I feel like there's maybe an overload of not feelings, an overload of what you think you need to be focusing on, or where you think you need to be putting your feelings. Like you're trying to carry too much stuff, you're trying to process too many emotions, you're trying to do too much stuff at once, you're trying to do too much too much fixing or healing, or again, this impatience energy of just I know I can do all this. I'm capable. I have the intelligence, the ability to do all of this, but I'm going to try and do everything at once, which is this 10 of Wands. And I'm carrying too much. And, we want work smarter, not harder here. One thing at a time, one day at a time, one thing at a time. That's the energy I'm really getting from this. So I think with this new moon, you can ask for clarity around please show me what is the next right action. Please show me what is the next right thing for me. Please show me what is the where I need to be putting my time and focus and energy within myself. All of that is what you want to focus on with this, instead of really just feeling you can't, you're overwhelmed. I just feel like a lot of overwhelm energy. And so a lot of renewal, a lot of all of this. And so maybe you've been trying to do 20 million things at once, and maybe that's things that are, King of Cups is about intuitive inside emotional energy, and maybe this is things according to things outside of you. And so maybe you think, okay, well, I should be focusing on this because of programming I got from here, or I should be focusing on that because of this thing, or any of that stuff. So just kind of getting clear about what things you don't actually need to be focusing on or having in your life, or the other way around. so with that, because the center of your reading, the High Priestess, I love her. I always love when she shows up. This is the theme of your reading. I feel like the message I'm getting here with the impatience is like using your own discernment to decide where you want to put your energy. So just getting really clear about like, maybe you had this emotional intelligence and then life happened and things piled up and there's too much, your energy got pulled all over the place. And this High Priestess is really about like tuning in, going across the veil, tapping into your own wisdom, your own awareness, and just being like, who do I want to be? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to work on? Where do I want to go? Right. So sometimes there definitely are seasons in our life where we're open to discovering things or trying new things or seeing what works or what doesn't work for us. But High Priestess, I feel like with this, the energy I'm getting from this group is just like, there's impatience because you're scattered everywhere. There's impatience because you're focused on 20 million things when like we can't. You can do so much in your life, but sometimes we overestimate how much we can do at a time instead of like spreading it out through the span of our lifetime. So this card is really about turning inward. It's really about using your intuitive gifts, your seeing beyond the veil, using any spiritual gifts, any spiritual practices that make sense to you, right? Like, so using, whether that's praying or fasting or reading tarot or doing astrology or reading a holy book or, however you can connect to your higher power. I would encourage you to do something like that on this new moon and really just think about, ask for clarity. And I think with the new moon, you can think, please give me the strength to get clear about what is working for me and what isn't working for me. And it's time to let some of this go. And so instead thinking about, this is very beautiful here, the High Priestess into the Queen of Wands. So two very powerful, like leading energies. And then my readings aren't gender specific. So King and Queen energy isn't regardless of what gender you are. This is about just embodying queen energy. And so this Queen of Wands is really next with that High Priestess, just really like, this is what I want. This is what I can succeed at. This is what I want to do. So I feel like, going from, I need to get all these over. Okay, so going from this 10 of Wands and then filtering it through that High Priestess awareness and then getting to this Queen of Wands, right? You're going to go from 10 wands to 1 wand. So I think this is really saying just stop trying to do everything at once. Stop trying to overextend yourself. Stop trying to, fix everything at once, to have this impatience of just like, and it could just even be like goals you want in your life. Like, oh, I need to write this book and move to this place and have this relationship and have a kid and do this and do that. It could just be even overwhelmed of all the things you want to do. And really just focusing on one thing at a time and really knowing and trusting like your divine guidance and your connection to yourself is going to get you to the right and perfect place and time and opportunity to do all of that, and focusing on that instead of, just like, again, getting completely overwhelmed and trying to do everything at once. So really tapping in, and with this new moon, I think you can ask for kind of like renewal and refreshment around what is the right and perfect thing for you to do now. What's the first step for you to take? What's the first thing for you to focus on? And just, again, really trusting your intuitive hits. As long as you have like, your basic survival taken care of, there's not as much pressure as we think there is, or ego wants us to think there is, to do things in like an exact right calculated order, right? There is freedom for us to choose a path that maybe doesn't line up with everyone around us. So really tuning inward and just trying to get clear about like, okay, what is the next thing for me to do right now? Like, what's the next right and perfect thing for me to do right now? Instead of thinking, I need to have these 20 million steps already, trying to do everything at once. So just trying again to cut down from 10 of these wands to 1 of these wands, and really giving. And you see like this person can't give their all to all 10 of those wands, whereas here you can really embody that queen energy of like, this is what I'm focused on, this is what I'm doing, this is what makes sense for me to do right now. With that, because closing your reading, we have the Hangman in reverse. So I feel like you're going to upright. The Hangman is about like playing yourself. It's about not like learned helplessness, basically. So reverse, you're getting out of that. Like, so if you felt overwhelmed, if you felt like you can't carry on, if you're feeling like, oh my God, how can I make this work for me? How am I going to pick my life up? All that. This is really just about kind of owning that and just realizing like, okay, I can choose better for myself. I can slowly start to, get off, like get off of this helpless wheel and just start to move forward and really, honor, things will shift when you just start doing one thing at a time, putting your focused energy on that. And so I think with this new moon, you can make a list of, this is the things I need to focus on, and this is the order I'm going to do it in. And then the new energy I want to call in is like working through my list one by one, doing each thing one by one, instead of just like having no plan, being totally unorganized, like, all of that. And we do have a new moon in Libra, and Libra is about balance. And so I think finding balance between, like, maybe you've mastered some of the emotional ability and like this internal emotions in yourself, your emotional state, and now it's about, okay, moving away from that, and instead being like, okay, how can I master like the ways I need to show up for myself and take care of myself. So moving out of, again, like, no more playing yourself. It's time to like be responsible for yourself, with reverse hangman. Okay, and then let's look at your oracle cards. This is interesting. So we have replenish on 2 different cards. So if you've never watched my readings before, I don't cherry pick my cards. I pick them in advance. So you don't have to watch me shuffle on the thing, but I don't pick them in advance. So really big message for this group: replenish to flourish, and then deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. So 2 cards with the word replenish on there. And also replenish makes me think of water, and we do have the King of Cups here, all this water down there. So I think, this could just be, if you're being impatient, if you're feeling impatient, if that's coming up for you a lot, maybe you can replenish by, taking a bath, by calling your energy back to you, by, really just taking some time to replenish your energy within yourself and really use some of the skill set you have here that you've developed to become emotionally intelligent and emotionally aware. So replenishment can look like, I'm going to do my affirmations. I'm going to write a letter to myself. I'm going to journal. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to, just really interesting that there's replenishment on here twice. So if you've been neglecting yourself, not taking care of yourself, even in simple ways, right? When we feel impatient, sometimes that can be like our inner child wanting attention from us. So it could just be that you spend time with yourself. It could be that you, set some boundaries. It could be that you go back to square one, that you, just think like when a child is upset, it's like, okay, do they need to eat? Do they need to take a bath? Do they need to rest? Do they need to just like read a picture book? Do they need to color, right? So just think of small ways you can replenish yourself, because it's a big message coming through for this group with both of those. And then, so I do good. So I feel like this card's really helpful just in terms of, when you're choosing which of these things to kind of move forward with, and choosing which thing, the path you want to take forward to do these things. I do good just remind you, like, you just have to be present and do good, like take each good and right action, and then things will unfold from there. Like all you have to do is do the next right thing, the next thing that feels good, and do it with like good energy, do it with positive energy, do it with like intention, and then you'll always feel better once that's over, and then you'll always be guided to the next step, the next thing you have to do after that. So this is really saying, anything you're choosing with setting these boundaries, you're doing all of that, just try to be really present and really focus on the way you're doing it and the way you're showing up. And that can be very, very healing. And, we can underestimate sometimes like how much abundance and awareness can come from that, just from doing things with like full presence, full awareness, full intention of doing it well, doing good, being of service, right? And this, I think, just got one more message. You can also make sure you're doing things in a way that's very like intentional, right? So it could just be like, even in your day-to-day, when you're going to the grocery store, the shadows are so funny now. Okay, but when you're going to the grocery store, when you're talking to your family, when you're talking to your coworkers, when you're whatever, just seeing if you can do things with like kindness, with mercy, with compassion. And again, that can really kind of help you sort out and get more clear and more present, and more grateful in your day-to-day as you are doing more good. Okay, and then last 2, I think these are, okay, well, let's start with this one. Get more information. So I feel like this is, maybe now you don't need any logical information, because this is like clearly an otherworldly being, and they have like the Merkaba right in front of them. So I feel like this is, when you're doing the work to go from here to kind of like whittle down what you need to do with this one, this is really reminding me of this high priestess energy of just like get more information from your higher self, from your higher power, from the other side, from that, and really just tap into like, okay, please show me the guidance, please show me what I need to do, please show me what will work for me, any and all of that, and just focusing on getting more information that way instead of maybe being so logical about it, but connecting to the other side. And this one didn't really come up in the reading, but maybe it's for a few of you. This is a specific message. So it's healing heartbreak. So one side, and the other side is my heart will love again. So maybe just a little message if you're worried about, putting things down or trusting yourself or listening to yourself because you had a heartbreak, you had a bad experience, you had something happen that maybe like you couldn't be connected to your higher self, or you're feeling like a little down or despondent or just like upset. This can be a nice little affirmation for yourself for this new moon. My heart will love again. Okay, and the last thing I want to do for this reading today is I want to pull just one affirmation to close your reading with out of this deck for everyone for the new moon. Oh my God. A lot of messages came out, but none of those cards are for you. So got this. So let's pick one. Creativity flows from me. I am a divine creator. Very nice. So something to focus on. And again, maybe for anyone who's an artist or trying to create something, that might be coming out for you. But I think also you can think about this in terms of just creating what you want to focus on, creating what you want to say yes to, what you want to say no to. That takes creativity to decide between those things. So, I'm a divine creator. It could be an affirmation that works for you for this new moon. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much again, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a happy new moon.